they hunt, they don't share with anyone. It's kind of messed up, right? That person's gonna have poor social relationships. So someone who is sharing or generous might be a more wealthy, high value member of that society, including reciprocity. Do we understand what reciprocation is? To reciprocate means that, oh, on Monday's hunt, you were successful and you gave me food. On Friday's hunt, I was successful, I'll give you food as well. Okay, I'll return what you gave to me. Maybe I'll add some more so that we might become friends and we might continue this and we can all prosper. Okay. Your reputation might have been important as well. Yeah, I do have sources for some of this information included as well. But your reputation as someone who's successful at hunting, someone who's kind, someone who shares, someone who's generous, might elevate your status and make you one of the wealthier members of that society. Okay. Your competency, so you mentioned that as well, your skills. So maybe you're not really good at throwing a spear, so you're not the best at hunting. Or like myself, you wear glasses, so I can't quite tell what's 40 yards away from me, right? But up close, like maybe, I don't know, I tried it when I was in university, tried making a stone tool. It's pretty tough. Maybe I get really good at making a stone tool or a basket. Maybe I become a basket weaver and I'm really good at making baskets. Something that you might like. Or I get good at making like beads and making cool jewelry, right? So I sell you a necklace for some food, right? Or I give you one because you're a good hunter. I say, hey, you're pretty awesome. You know what you need? A chain. A chain would make your life perfect. It would solve all your problems. That's what you need. And I give them a necklace, right? So your skills. Additionally, storytelling. Many hunter-gatherer societies, they're verbal, right? They didn't write things down. They didn't stay in one place. So storytelling could be something that could be a skill that could be considered wealthy. This person is entertaining us. Okay? Like there's definitely something for that. And art might be a little harder. I think it was very rare. But, well, that's wonderful that they're playing that song, right? Okay. So that's just a note on wealth, but in terms of trade, so trade is also going to be important. Items of value could have included hides or fur. Right? I know that those got traded quite a bit in the history of our country. Herbs and plants for medicinal purposes. So, these many hunter-gatherer people through trial and error figured out which plants are safe to eat and which plants actually help heal some of your diseases, some issues that you're having. A pretty stone to this day, people are enamored by a cool looking rock. How many of you have gone to the beach and you're like, oh, I want this rock, and you took it home with you? How many of you have done that? No, so like 80% of you are just lame. Thank you, right? Right, maybe you see a pretty looking shell, you're like, wow, I'm gonna give this to this girl I want to marry, right? And she's gonna love me for it, right? You never know. Why are you scoffing like that? Okay. You're clearing your throat, you get a cough. Okay. So cosmetic items and trade might also have been conducted just to improve social relationships, right? So you're going to trade with your, let's say, cousin group or neighboring group because it will benefit and play a role in your own sustainability. So just to summarize that last point there, that what these societies valued, aside from food and water, like survival, was not material but social. The ability to provide for the tribe and the willingness to share and the capacity to entertain, perhaps. Just walk around behind the camera. Okay. Next, we transition into, oh, hold on, there's a slide here, okay? So I have this potluck slide here because in Social Studies 30, you talk about different ideological systems, which includes, are you doing your science homework right now? You look like you're doing science. Okay. Under the ideological explanations in Social 30, one of the bigger challenges that curriculum addresses, particularly from ideologies, is that how do you deal with unfair wealth, right? So some of us talked about, well, a rich person has lots of fancy cars, they have fancy suits, they have a private jet. Do you think someone who has a private jet is struggling to pay their bills?
Yes, definitely.
They could be, but most likely not, right? They might be struggling to pay their bills because they chose to like have really expensive things. But if someone could own a private jet, do you think they could pay off a house in Leduc?
Yeah.
Right? Then they don't have to pay mortgage, right? So the question becomes, what do you do when a small group of people have too much wealth? Right? Any of you kids heard the phrase "eat the rich"?
No.
Right? Really?
I wasn't born.
That's interesting. Okay. There's a phrase out there. People on the left typically say this because people on the political left, they like redistributing wealth. So taking what you have and giving it to the people who don't have, right? Despite the fact that if we live in Canada, we're all essentially part of the top 1% of the world. We're just not filthy rich, right? Or like uber rich, right? Like where you could take a shower with money every day and still be rich, right? So in a modern society, and we'll look at more modernized societies, it's a challenge because, you know, when someone has too much money and another person can't feed themselves every day, how do you deal with that problem? Like, what do you do? Is it okay to take from the person who's wealthy? Take their money? No, but come on, they have like $500 million. What do they need $500 million for? I don't know, some people think that if you're very rich and wealthy that you didn't work hard, that you exploited other people, right? So these are challenges, and it's not obvious what the solution is. Hunter-gatherer societies, particularly West Coast indigenous people, they realized that this problem existed, that small groups of people gain the majority of the wealth, right? So wealth accumulates into the hands of a few people. Which has been noted in the Bible as well, which was written about 2,000 years ago, long before capitalism came to be. This was noted in indigenous societies in Canada as well, and likely many hunter-gatherer groups discovered that, you know, one person can gain all of the wealth and resources. It's very likely. So they came up, you know, they have this potluck ceremony. So the potluck primarily functions to redistribute wealth and confer status and rank upon individuals, right? So someone like the chief of the tribe might have all of the wealth and they redistribute it to everyone so that everyone can be prosperous. Maybe they give something to someone to give them status or a rank and say, hey, this person has now gone from being, you know, boy to man or girl to woman, right? And so they give something for that. Yeah, those ceremonies existed, right? People might give clothes. Eventually, they probably would have given guns after contact with Europeans. Canoes were given, food, and believe it or not, slaves were also given to some extent, which is something that's not really taught about history of indigenous people in North America. They did keep slaves as well. That's a whole history that's worth learning about. Additionally, sometimes items were destroyed with great ceremony as a show of superior generosity, status, and prestige over rivals. So sometimes they were so wealthy that instead of giving things to people, I mean, I'm sure they did that as well, they also destroyed a portion of what they had that was considered wealthy, right? To show to everyone, like, this is how rich I am. I can just destroy this stuff. Right? You kids ever seen Simpsons? And I think there's an episode, there's a character, he burns $100 bills to light his cigars, right? Maybe you've heard of this concept, right? Someone's so wealthy that they can burn a $100 bill and light a cigar with it, right? So that's how little money means to them. It's similar but different because this is at least, well, maybe the spirit is the same, the spirit of arrogance, that you have so much wealth. Okay. And so, you know, there's still important questions that, you know, is it important to redistribute wealth? Like, what should you do if, you know, so think about it this way, like we get a snack bin, right, every now and then, it's full. What if one kid took 95% of the snacks? How would you feel? You jump them, you beat them. Did you say jump them as well?
Sounds like the government.
Sounds like the government, okay, maybe. How would you feel if one kid just gobbled up 95% of the snacks? A lot of you are shaking your head like, no, it wouldn't feel good. What's that?
Oh, what? I said I would beat their ass.
Can you beat them, right? Violence might ensue.
Harass.
Now, let's say you couldn't beat them up. Would you want to be friends with this person? They go to every class. They always take 95% of the snack bit. And let's say they only leave those little fruit bars you kids don't like.
Those damn.
No, now we're really angry. Now we're angry.
I'd force them to eat those damn fruit bars. Shove them right in their mouth. Shove them in their
Nostril.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So many people feel the same way, grade 10s, about money. Okay, like how much money does Jeff Bezos have? Like, what's his net worth?
Oh, it's like a lot.
Like over 100 billion, right? Elon Musk, probably somewhere around 100 billion.
Oh, I think it's
So these
almost 200.
two people have more money than maybe 40% of the world. 4 out of every 10 people in the world. Okay? Like 40%, right? We're talking billions of people. Should we not beat, should we not, what did you say? Say it again.
Beat their ass.
Should we not do that?
Now let's do
Probably
it.
have
Let's
security
just
saying
go
no.
jump Elon
Should
Musk.
we not take those dollars and like cram them into their nostrils and make them eat them? No.
What if you're born in it? Yeah, what if you're born in it?
What's that? Suffocate them in their own wealth. Suffocate them in their own wealth. Exactly. Yeah. Right. It's complicated, right? Because some of us are saying that, well, they worked hard for it. They made that money.
Yeah, but what if they're born into a wealthy family?
Ooh, that's interesting. What if you get a big inheritance?
And it's okay.
Let's say,
Jump their ass.
let's say.
It's their family that works for it.
So